Hey there traders, welcome back for episode number 104 from the StockBandit.tv. It's a place you can always find trading videos to make you better. And on Sundays, you can always find trading videos here outlining key levels for the major market indices. We know that as traders, that's where most individual stocks are going to find their cues, and they're going to get influenced by what the overall market's doing. So as we head into a brand new week of trading, we want to start there, take a look at the big picture, and see what might be taking place out there. So we'll start off with the NASDAQ. Last week we saw this index just add 17 points, but you know, all in all, it's still continuing this big V-shaped or check mark bounce here over the past couple of weeks. That last pullback was of course bought. That establishes another higher low on these daily charts, and so we've got the continuation of the uptrend still taking place. We also saw the previous high was eclipsed last week by a little bit. That was only about a 6-point high. Nonetheless, it does count. And zooming in here on the chart a little bit more, we did see a gap last week on Wednesday, which saw an upside gap in price as this index broke out. We did pull back on Friday and fill that gap, so that's technically healthy to see. And it looks like the bulls are still just kind of maintaining the upper hand here. They're maintaining the uptrends that are already in place, and yet the bears are unable to get any real traction on the downside. So this market could certainly stand to correct some. It could certainly stand to pull back. That would actually be a very healthy event, because many stocks have become somewhat extended in the near term, given that we just tend to move one direction, which is up. But at this point, the NASDAQ still has some resistance around the 2200 area, and generally it's just hovering near this 2150 level. We closed just 6 points above that last week, and that's a very important level. That certainly goes back to multiple occasions during 2008. And of course, once that was broken, it really led to some significant downside. So now that we've rallied all the way back up to that area, it's no surprise that we're contending with it here multiple times before we put it in our rearview mirror after moving one direction or the other, which still remains to be seen. For the S&P 500, this index got through the previous high and cleared the 1074 resistance area. That's encouraging to see. However, 1100 is still a very significant level for this index, and so tacked on 16 points. This index also has a big check mark type of bounce in place, and 1100 is really a significant area because last fall, right about a year ago, we undercut that level, and that really gave way to some significant downside very quickly. So here again, now that we've spent the last several months rallying right back up to that area, it's going to be no big surprise if we spend a little time here battling with it one way or the other, until we can finally either turn lower from it or break out through it and continue pushing higher. For the Dow, this index is still got some room here. It's hugging the 10,000 area as of last week's close. 10,400 is prior support from right about a year ago, and that corresponds with the same area for the S&P 500 where it broke down from. But we saw once 10,400 was really broken to the downside, it really led to some significant selling. So here again, we've rallied back up. We're still shy of that level, so this index still has some room to run higher, but the trend is still intact. We're still setting higher lows on pullbacks, and we're still achieving higher highs on rallies, and so the trend is still up. But this index is largely going to take its cues from the S&P 500. This is only 30 stocks, and of course that's a somewhat limited view of the overall market. So the S&P 500 is a better benchmark than the Dow, and so this index is more likely to follow than it is to actually lead. But that's what we're looking at for the week ahead. Take a look at those key levels, put them on your screens, and be sure and keep an eye on those throughout the week. Thanks again for joining me for this episode. I will be back soon with more videos, but in the meantime, trade like a bandit.